Was attorney Alisia Adamson. Alisia, thanks for being with us here on Sunrise. I want to begin with your initial reaction to this verdict.
I'm proud of this jury. I think that the state attorney's office did a phenomenal job presenting the evidence. They didn't just rely on the video. They also brought in expert testimony, law enforcement testimony. And 10 hours was, a lot of people thought it was a long time, but I actually thought it was a very short time for them to come up with the decision. So I'm very proud of the jury for doing the job and following the law.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned the video. How big of a role do you think that video played in the verdict of this case?
I think the video was huge, and I commend the young lady who recorded it and had the courage to do so, because it literally changed the trajectory of this case. If you remember, the summary by the Minneapolis Police Department was very different than what the video showed. So it's because of that video and because of her courage that that this verdict was able to be secured.
Can you talk a little bit more about the role that the jury played here? This jury has been described as very diverse. 12 jurors on this case, 5 men, 7 women, 6 white, 4 black, and 2 identified as multiracial.
Yeah, as a person who's been to trial several times, that doesn't happen very often, especially with race. And so I'm very excited that it was a diverse jury. But I think black, white, male or female, it was murder. I think that the world saw it, but I'm proud that the jury was diverse, and I'm very proud of the verdict that they came back with.
My understanding is that you actually spent time with the Floyd family over this past year. Can you talk to me about what your experience was like with them? Where did they find the strength over the last 11 months here? And were you able to speak to them after this verdict?
I have not spoken to the family after the verdict. I have spoken to their attorney Benjamin Crump, who's my mentor. And yet the family, the biggest word I can think of is resilience. They have been around the world since the death of George Floyd, and have been championing for him, not letting his death go in vain. They are a resilient, beautiful, strong family that is going through the most horrific experience, losing a loved one, having the world watch it. And there's mean people on the other side too that are, just saying terrible things to them, but they don't let it stop them. They carry on, they push forward, and they're making sure that George Floyd changes the world.
Derek Chauvin was found guilty on all 3 charges. His bond was revoked. He was taken into custody. What's next?
So we've got sentencing. A lot of people have asked why sentencing set so far off. Because this is his first felony conviction, he's entitled to a pre-sentence investigation. So an officer will come and we'll do an evaluation and make a recommended sentence. And he's facing 40 years on the second degree, 25 on the third, and then 4 years on the manslaughter. So the prosecutor is going to be asking for a high sentence. I would assume the defense attorney is going to be asking for something on the lower end, and the judge ultimately will make the decision on what the sentence will be.
When the murder of George Floyd happened last year, we saw how this impacted really the entire nation. So many people wanted justice. Protests were taken to the streets. Now that this verdict has been read, what does this mean moving forward? And by that, I mean, we've heard this being described as so many things, that this is a big milestone, that this is justice, but this is only the first step towards justice. What's your take?
And so one of the words that I liked that was said yesterday was that this is the precedent now. This is accountability. This is no longer will law enforcement get to be held to a different standard. I think that this emboldens the community to record, to make sure that they follow through. I'm so proud of the activists and the community members for never giving up. These arrests and these convictions don't happen on their own. It happens because of pressure from the community. These marches, these sit-ins, they matter, and they're causing the community, they're causing the judicial system to change. And so I'm proud of the activists. I'm proud of everyone who made sure that accountability was held. And so, yes, I think that and I'm proud of also our local leaders. I'm proud of our mayor, both of our mayors and our police chief, for making statements. But I also hope that they continue to have these conversations within their agencies, because it is a lesson to be learned, and it is something that needs to be changed within ourselves as well.
This case definitely having